Have you ever ended a day feeling exhausted but strangely empty? You answered dozens of messages, attended meetings, solved other people's problems, scrolled through endless notifications, made promises you never wanted to make. And when the day finally ended, the one thing that truly mattered to you remained untouched. Now ask yourself a simple question. If you continue living like this for the next 5 years, where will your life end up? Will you become successful or simply become an expert at staying busy? Because there is a dangerous lie that almost everyone believes. The more you do, the more successful you become. But what if that belief is exactly what is keeping you average? What if the biggest reason you feel tired, stressed, distracted, and stuck is not because you are doing too little, but because you are doing far too much? Imagine carrying a backpack every single day. At first, someone puts one small stone inside. It feels harmless. Then another, and another. A few years later, you are carrying hundreds of stones. Responsibilities, expectations, people's opinions, social media, career pressure, family pressure, fear of missing opportunities, the need to prove yourself. One day, you wake up wondering, when did life become this heavy? The strange part is, nobody forced those stones into your bag. Most of them you picked up yourself. And today, I'm going to show you how to finally put them down. Because this is not just a summary of a book. This is a different way of seeing your entire life. A way that has helped CEOs make billion-dollar decisions, entrepreneurs build extraordinary businesses, athletes perform under pressure, and ordinary people finally regain control over their time, energy, and peace. This philosophy has one simple name: Essentialism. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand why your life feels overwhelming, you'll know exactly how to remove everything that doesn't truly matter and finally focus on the few things that can completely change your future. If you enjoy powerful book summaries that help you transform your mindset and your life, subscribe to the channel and become part of this journey toward real success. Now, close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine standing at a crossroads. One road is crowded. Millions of people are running. Everyone looks busy. Everyone seems important. Everyone is chasing everything. The second road is almost empty. Only a few people choose it. They walk slowly, calmly, confidently. Surprisingly, those are the people who reach the destination first. The question is, which road are you walking on? Chapter 1. The Invisible Prison. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. Your phone starts ringing before you even leave your bed. One message asks for a favor, another asks for a meeting. A notification reminds you of unfinished work. Instagram tells you someone posted something new. Your calendar already looks full. Your mind becomes busy before your feet even touch the floor. Without realizing it, your entire day has already been designed, not by you, but by everyone else. Now think carefully. How many decisions in your life are truly yours? How many goals are yours? How many dreams belong to you, and how many were silently borrowed from society? Maybe you chose a career because everyone said it was safe. Maybe you chase money because someone convinced you success is measured by salary. Maybe you stay busy because resting makes you feel guilty. Maybe you say yes because saying no feels uncomfortable. Little by little, without noticing, your life slowly stops belonging to you. This is the invisible prison. There are no walls, no chains, no guards. Yet millions spend their entire lives trapped inside. Greg McKeown explains that the biggest problem is not that people don't work hard. The problem is that they work hard on things that don't truly matter. Think about an archer. He has one arrow. If he aims at one target, his chances of hitting it are high. Now imagine placing 100 targets in front of him. Suddenly, even a world-class archer becomes ineffective. Your attention works exactly the same way. Every unnecessary commitment becomes another target. Every distraction steals a little accuracy. Every meaningless task quietly weakens your future. This is why many intelligent people never reach extraordinary success, not because they lack talent, because their focus has been divided into hundreds of tiny pieces. Look around. People proudly say, "I'm so busy," as if busyness itself is an achievement. But busyness and progress are not the same thing. Imagine two people. The first person runs all day. The second person walks only a few steps, but in the right direction. At sunset, who has actually moved closer to success? This reminds me of a businessman who once kept saying yes to every opportunity. Every partnership sounded exciting. Every invitation felt important. For years, he believed he was expanding. Then, one day, his company nearly collapsed, not because he lacked opportunities, but because he accepted too many. He wasn't building a business anymore. He was managing chaos. Finally, he made one painful decision. He closed projects, rejected deals, ignored distractions, reduced meetings. People thought he had become lazy, but within a few years, his company became stronger than ever. Nothing magical happened. He simply removed everything that wasn't essential. Think about your own life. How many things are secretly stealing your future? Scrolling because you're bored, watching videos that teach nothing, replying instantly to every message, trying to impress people who barely think about you, working on urgent tasks while ignoring important ones, living according to everyone else's expectations. Here's something uncomfortable. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are automatically saying no to something important. When you spend an hour arguing online, you are saying no to learning a valuable skill. When you accept work that doesn't align with your goals, you are saying no to building your own future. When you sacrifice sleep for meaningless entertainment, you are saying no to your health. Life is always asking for payment. The only question is, what are you paying with? Time? Energy? Dreams? Or your future? Maybe you've experienced this yourself. You planned to study, then someone called. You planned to exercise, then social media distracted you. You planned to start your business, then fear convinced you to wait. One small distraction seems undangerous, but repeated every day, it silently builds an ordinary life. Here's another image. Imagine a beautiful garden. Every morning you water every single plant equally. Flowers, weeds, tiny bushes, dead branches. After a few months, the weeds begin to dominate everything. Why? Because you refuse to choose. Life works exactly the same way. If you give equal attention to everything, the unimportant eventually destroys the important. Essentialism begins with one grave decision, not asking, "What can I do?" Instead asking, "What is truly worth doing?" At first, this question feels uncomfortable because it forces you to admit that many things you've been doing for years don't actually matter. That realization hurts, but it also sets you free, because the moment you understand that not everything deserves your attention, you stop trying to win every game. Instead, you choose the only game that actually matters. And strangely, that's when your real progress begins. But if choosing what matters is so powerful, then why do intelligent people keep making the wrong choices? The answer lies in a psychological trap that almost everyone falls into without even realizing it. And once you see it, you'll never look at your decisions the same way.
Chapter 2. Imagine that someone walks into your room carrying a transparent jar. Inside the jar are hundreds of tiny marbles. Each marble represents 1 hour of your life. The person smiles and says, "Every morning you receive 24 new marbles." But here's the catch. Every marble you give away is gone forever. You wouldn't throw those marbles into the street. You wouldn't hand them to strangers without thinking. You certainly wouldn't exchange them for things that have no value. And yet, that is exactly what most people do with their time. Not because they are careless, but because they have never been taught that every yes they say comes with an invisible price. This is the trap that Greg McKeown calls one of the greatest enemies of an essential life, the trap of automatic agreement. Think about the last few days. Someone asked for your help. Someone invited you somewhere. Someone requested your time. Someone wanted a quick favor. Someone expected an immediate reply. How many times did you stop and ask yourself, is this truly important? Probably very few. Instead, most of us answer automatically. Sure, no problem. I'll do it. Count me in. Why? Because deep inside we're afraid that people will think we're selfish, afraid they'll stop liking us, afraid we'll miss an opportunity, afraid we'll disappoint someone. So we keep saying yes, even while our own dreams quietly hear another no. Now imagine a young professional named Arav. He was smart, hardworking. Everyone admired him because he was always available. Need extra work? Call Arav. Weekend project? Call Arav. Late night presentation? Call Arav. Office event? Call Arav. Family responsibility? Call Arav. Friends shifting houses? Call Arav. At first, it felt good. People praised him. His phone never stopped ringing. He felt important. But something strange started happening. Months passed, then years. His salary increased. His stress increased even faster. He was helping everyone except himself. One evening, he opened an old notebook. Inside it, he found a list he had written 5 years earlier. Start my own company, travel with my parents, get fit, write a book, learn public speaking. He stared at that page for several minutes. Not a single dream had moved forward. Not because he lacked talent, not because he lacked opportunity, but because every day his priorities belonged to somebody else. Maybe you've lived a smaller version of this story. Maybe you promised yourself that this year you would finally change your life. Then work became busy. Family responsibilities increased. Friends needed your time. Your phone demanded attention. And suddenly, another year disappeared. Here's the painful truth. People rarely lose their dreams in one dramatic moment. They lose them in tiny pieces. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. One unnecessary meeting, one meaningless conversation, one endless scroll, one favor they didn't really need to accept. It doesn't feel dangerous because each decision is small, but life is never shaped by one decision. It is shaped by thousands of tiny decisions repeated every single day. This brings us to one of the most powerful ideas in essentialism. If it isn't a clear yes, then it is a clear no. Read that again in your mind. If it isn't a clear yes, it is a clear no. Most people live exactly the opposite. If it isn't completely impossible, I'll somehow manage. That sentence destroys lives. Imagine standing in front of a buffet with 100 different dishes. You know your stomach can only hold one plate. Would you take a spoon from every dish? Of course not, because trying to eat everything guarantees you'll enjoy nothing. Success works the same way. Your mind is that plate. Your energy is limited. Your attention is limited. Your years are limited. Trying to experience everything usually means mastering nothing. Think about some of the world's greatest performers. An Olympic athlete says no to late-night parties. A best-selling author says no to constant entertainment. A successful entrepreneur says no to hundreds of attractive opportunities. A great musician says no to distractions that interrupt practice. From the outside, people only notice what they achieved. They rarely notice everything they deliberately refused. That's the hidden side of greatness. The world celebrates discipline, but discipline is simply another word for intelligent rejection.
Now imagine a sculptor standing before a giant block of marble. Someone watching from a distance asks, "How will you create such a beautiful statue?" The sculptor smiled. "I won't create it. I'll remove everything that isn't the statue." That answer changes everything. Your future isn't built by adding endless activities. It's built by removing everything that hides your true potential. Maybe your confidence is already there. Maybe your business idea is already there. Maybe your healthiest body is already there. Maybe your happiest life is already there. It's simply buried under years of unnecessary commitments. Now let's make this practical. Suppose you wake up tomorrow. Before touching your phone, ask yourself one question. If today could only have one meaningful victory, what would it be? Not 10 victories, not 20 tasks, just one. Maybe finishing one chapter, maybe completing one client project, maybe exercising, maybe spending uninterrupted time with your family, maybe finally starting the business you've been delaying for months. Once you identify that one essential action, protect it. Treat it like the most important appointment of your entire day, because it is. Everything else becomes secondary. This sounds simple, and that's exactly why most people ignore it. Modern society rewards visible busyness, not meaningful progress. Someone answers emails all day, everyone thinks they're productive. Someone spends 8 hours focused creating something valuable. People think they didn't do much. Never confuse movement with progress. A rocking chair moves all day, yet it never leaves its place. How many people are living exactly like that? Always moving, never arriving. Here's another story. A professor entered his classroom carrying a large glass jar. Without saying a word, he placed several big rocks inside until no more could fit. He looked at the students. "Is the jar full?" Everyone nodded. Then he poured small pebbles into the jar. They slipped into the empty spaces. Again he asked, "Now is it full?" The students smiled. "Yes." Then came sand. The sand filled every remaining gap. Finally, he poured water into the jar. The class laughed. Then the professor spoke. "If I had poured the water first, the rocks would never have fit." Life works exactly like that. The big rocks are your essential priorities, your health, your family, your purpose, your deepest work, your character. Everything else, emails, notifications, entertainment, random requests, those are the sand and the water. Most people fill their days with sand, then wonder why there's no room left for what truly matters. The tragedy isn't that they are lazy. The tragedy is that they are full of things that don't deserve to occupy their lives. Now pause for a second, and if someone secretly watched your calendar for the last 30 days, would they correctly guess your biggest dream? Or would they conclude that your biggest goal is answering messages and attending meetings? Your calendar never lies. Your schedule reveals your real priorities more honestly than your words ever will. This realization can be uncomfortable, but uncomfort often becomes the doorway to transformation. Because once you see where your time is actually going, you can finally decide where it deserves to go. And this leads to an even deeper question. Even if you learn to say no, even if you remove unnecessary commitments, why do distractions still feel so powerful? Why does your mind keep pulling you towards things you know don't matter? The answer has nothing to do with laziness. It has everything to do with how your brain has been trained over the years. And once you understand this invisible psychological battle, you'll realize that your greatest enemy has never been outside you. It has quietly been living inside your own mind all along.
Chapter 3. Imagine that one day you were sitting alone in a quiet room. No phone, no notifications, no meetings, no noise. Just you and a blank sheet of paper. Now imagine someone asks you only one question. If everything in your life disappeared today, and you were allowed to keep only 5 things, what would they be? Not 500, not 50, just 5. Think carefully. Would social media be on that list? Would endless meetings be there? Would the opinions of strangers matter? Would unnecessary arguments survive? Probably not. Because the moment life forces you to choose, you suddenly become clear. The real question is, why do we wait for life to force us? Why don't we choose before it's too late? This is where essentialism becomes more than a productivity system. It becomes a way of living. Greg McKeown reminds us that clarity is power. The clearer your purpose becomes, the easier your decisions become. Most people don't struggle because life is complicated. They struggle because they are trying to protect too many things at once. Imagine a captain sailing through a violent storm. The ship is becoming heavier every minute. Water is entering from every side. There is only one way to survive. Throw everything unnecessary into the sea. Not because those things have no value, but because the ship has greater value. Your life is that ship. Every unnecessary commitment, every toxic relationship, every unhealthy habit, every distraction, every fear of disappointing people is extra weight. And one day, you realize you were never drowning because the ocean was too deep. You were drowning because you refused to let go. Maybe you've been carrying something for years, a dream that no longer belongs to you, a relationship that only drains your energy, a job that destroys your peace, the constant need to prove yourself. Or maybe the biggest burden is the belief that you must make everyone happy. But think about this. You can spend your entire life trying to satisfy everyone and still disappoint someone. So why not spend that life building something that truly matters? One of the greatest lessons from this book is that success is not about doing more. Success is about doing the right things consistently. Look at a magnifying glass. When sunlight is scattered, nothing happens. But when all that light is focused on one point, it can create fire. Your mind works exactly the same way. Scattered attention creates average results. Focused attention creates extraordinary results. That is why some people seem to achieve in 5 years what others cannot achieve in 20. They don't have more intelligence. They don't have more time. They simply protect their focus better than everyone else. Now ask yourself another question. If your future self could visit you today, what advice would that person give? Would they tell you to scroll more? Would they tell you to worry about people's opinions? Would they tell you to keep saying yes to everything? Or would they quietly place a hand on your shoulder and say, "Stop wasting your life on things that won't matter"? Because one day, you will not remember every notification. You will not remember every email. You will not remember every meaningless conversation. But you will remember the moments when you had the courage to choose what truly mattered. The day you finally started your dream. The day you decided to become healthy. The day you forgave someone. The day you spent time with your parents instead of your phone. The day you stopped living for applause and started living with purpose. Those are the moments that build a meaningful life. There is a beautiful story about an old man who planted a small tree every year. Someone laughed and asked, "You are already old. You may never enjoy the shade of these trees." The old man smiled and replied, "I spent my life resting under trees planted by people I never met. Now it is my turn to plant something for the future." That is essentialism. Every essential choice you make today is a tree your future self will one day sit beneath. Every unnecessary distraction you remove creates space for something meaningful to grow. Imagine your life 1 year from today. You wake up with clarity. You know exactly what deserves your attention. You no longer feel guilty for saying no.
Your work improves because your focus improves. Your relationships become stronger because you are fully present. Your health improves because you finally make time for it. Your confidence grows because every day you keep promises to yourself. People begin asking, what changed? The answer isn't complicated. You simply stopped trying to live 10 different lives and started living the one that was truly yours. Remember, the world will always try to convince you that everything is important. Advertisements will fight for your attention. Social media will fight for your attention. People will fight for your attention. But no one will ever protect your attention better than you. Your future depends on what you choose to ignore. Never forget this. Every sunrise brings you 24 new hours. You can spend them building your dreams or building someone else's priorities. The choice is made quietly, not once, but every single day. So, when this video ends, don't rush to the next video. Don't open another app immediately. Take 5 quiet minutes. Write down the 3 most important things in your life. Then ask yourself with complete honesty, does the way I spend my days reflect these priorities? If the answer is no, don't feel guilty, feel grateful. Because awareness is where transformation begins. A year from today, your life can look completely different. Not because of one lucky opportunity, not because someone rescued you, but because today you finally decided to remove everything that wasn't essential. And remember this sentence whenever life feels overwhelming. If it's not a clear yes, it's a clear no. Those simple words have the power to protect your time, your energy, your peace, and ultimately, your life. Thank you for staying until the end of this journey. If this book summary gave you a new way of looking at your life, let its message become more than inspiration. Turn it into action today. Small, essential choices repeated every day create extraordinary lives. Take care of your time, protect your focus, and never forget, a meaningful life is never built by doing everything. It is built by doing the few things that truly matter extraordinarily well. See you in the next journey.